Good morning, everybody. I hope we're having a great day. And we're going to jump into some marketing research and marketing. I really enjoy this topic. I teach the marketing class, so kind of we do this all year round. And I try and keep this a little bit different from what you do in there, so the lessons aren't the same. There is, of course, a little overlap. That's kind of natural. We don't go into as much detail as we do there. And our work is a little bit different than what you've done in there. But I think all in all, marketing and research is a lot of fun. So let's jump into it. Three big things we're going to cover today, and that is the whole why companies must do research, as well as we're going to recognize the importance of identifying target markets and its various categories. And then there are 6 steps to completing research, and we're going to identify those. So a target market is a specific group of consumers or customers that a company literally targets with their offerings. So whether that's a product or a service, they are laser beamed focused on this specific group of people, primarily because that's where they do most of their business. And a lot of this comes from the actual advertising perspective, which is our next unit, because you have to, if I was to ask somebody who is the target market, the most common answer I get is everybody. Well, everyone is an improper, wrong, not good answer because you're not identifying or targeting anybody. So essentially your $100 that you have to advertise is not being focused and not being used to the best of its ability. You want that $100 to go as far as you can get it to go, and with that you need to identify who your most likely customer is, or if you're an existing business, you can actually look at data if you have it. So, one, having a good idea is not enough for a successful business. That's been proven time and time again. I hear great ideas all the time. Really, it is about executing your idea and getting it in front of the people that are potentially going to buy it. Those people are called your primary customer, and you need to figure out whether or not they're interested in buying what you have to offer. So, who is your potential market? Or oftentimes I say, what is your potential market? That's kind of the first spot. And sometimes that is a group of people. Sometimes that is a geographic location. You also need to say, hey, is this a customer? Is it a company? Or is it a person? Where and what am I selling, right? And we're going to have 2 different thought processes there. If you're selling to various companies, right, your geography might be a little bit bigger versus if you're selling fresh pizza, you're probably focused on a small set of square miles where people are going to come to you or you're going to go to them for pizza. And that goes into this third point. If they're individuals, you need to know everything from how old they are, how much money do they earn, and are they willing to spend it on what you have to offer? Where do they live? And we'll get into some of those technical names in a second. If they're companies, you got to know what industry they're in and where they're located. That customer list that you have becomes more and more important if you're selling to other companies. So, still identifying this target market, we're going to go through these questions with an example, and that example is going to be pizza. I must be thinking about it lately and talking about it because I've been mentioning it a bunch of times, but we're going to go through this, and this is a great time to stop, go through these questions as a class and talk about it, and then we'll keep going. All right, I hope that was a good question. Well worth it. If you haven't seen or talked about it, here are my answers. What need or want will my product, service, or fulfill? It will provide the need for delicious, cheesy food called pizza. How many customers live in the area I want to operate? Well, there's approximately 25,000 people in Brownsburg and growing. But that would be the geography area I would target my advertising. There's no reason to target Avon or Plainfield. No one is coming from there to Brownsburg for pizza. Where do these customers buy their product? Well, a couple options there. They might do it in store for pickup, or they might do via mobile app for delivery, and there might be if I have in-store dining or in-restaurant dining, they might be able to sit down and eat the product there. What prices are they willing to pay? I estimate they pay between $10 for a little personal pizza and $25 for a large pizza for a family. And then what's special, what's unique about my pizza compared to the competition? It's got all natural and organic ingredients. Bread and cheese are made in-house. We make our own dough. We make our own cheese. And if you want, you can buy them individually on your own. And in the summertime, we grow our own tomatoes because, why not? So it's those things that you're answering that'll help you identify who that target market is. So market segments and segmentation. And you got a formal definition up top, but that is the process of dividing broad consumers or business market, normally consisting of existing of potential customers, into smaller and smaller groups or subgroups known as different segments based on some type of shared characteristic. Market research can be used by a business to identify market segments, and then those market segments can be advertised to individually. So you need to segment or divide your target to help meet their needs, and really you pick one target and you might focus on it. And the example they use, it's possible to reach every customer who eats out. Do you want to reach the fast food customer or the restaurant customer, right? Do we want to focus on getting people through the line and offering a cheaper price, i.e. fast food, or do we want to focus on maybe an expensive meal or a more expensive meal where they sit down, we provide a service, good ambience and atmosphere, and they're there to eat and enjoy the meal. So, and this example is there's a bunch of data that was found, and the most common customer is female that is ages 14 to 35, right? And I love this because you're trying to target a customer, and this was the perfect little meme for that, right? You're targeting females 14 to 35 with your offerings because that makes up 66% of the customers that buy your product. So we kind of just did market segment. We talked about one for fast food and what you're offering or what the person is interested in. What might be, and then we talked about females, 14 to 35. What are other various market segments where you can group people together? This would be a good point to stop, and we can talk about the various ones there. All right, let's talk about a customer profile real quick. And some of you, if you have my marketing class, you know exactly what this is. 4 categories that go into it that really describe the customer and what they're all about. So those descriptions include demographics, geographics, psychographics, as well as buying patterns or consumer behavior. A lot of items go into making a profile, and that includes a customer's purchase history, maybe their creditworthiness, and collecting this data allows you to better understand your market. This is something Apple is spectacular at. They know who buys their products and who's the one that's making those decisions, and they are catered to you guys and always making the next best product and giving you features and products that you really want. So I'm going to leave this up for like 30 seconds, get something down on all of these categories: demographic, psychographic, user-based data, and geographic data, and then we will keep on rocking. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, so here is another look at market segments and all the categories and information you can find about them. So, geographics, it's everything from the country they live in to whether or not they're in a city that's densely populated or a suburban area that might be more rural, and what is the population of that area, so on and so forth. Demographics is all of your age, gender, income, education, social status, family, life stage, occupation, income. Well, income's on there already, but different things like that that allows you to really identify who that person is. Psychographics and behavioral, they often get kind of confused, and I like to think of behavior is how they interact with the potential product or service you're offering, versus psychographics are more like, what is their mental area, their mental status, right? Are they highly active? Are they opinionated? What's their personality, their values, their attitudes? And then your behavioral is like, what are the benefits sought for the purchase? What is their usage of it? Are they buying it for a specific occasion? What's the life cycle of the product? And that's an easy way to identify those. Keep adding to your 4 categories with some of these notes, and we're going to go through an example in a second. All right. Pick our 4 categories, pick out one from each, and let's talk about who this BMW customer is. Good point to stop, have a quick conversation, and we'll move on after this. All right, I hope there were some good responses there about all these categories, and let's keep going. So market research is the activity of gathering information about consumers' needs and preferences, how to collect primary data. And there is 2 types of data, that is primary data and secondary data. So primary data is data you collect. You drive the study or the research that actually gets the information. And there are a lot of benefits to doing that on your own versus secondary data, which is data that's already been found and published, and you're just either paying for it or getting it for free and using it to your benefit. So ways to collect primary data: survey, which is what we've all seen more commonly. You make questions, you post it somewhere online, or you have people fill it out, and you use your data to answer hopefully some form of research. Observations, which is by far the cheapest form of market research, because in observations you just have to watch and there's no real work doing other than watching and taking notes. And then what's called focus groups, where focus groups are small group interviews of potential customers in order to help get some form and kind of feedback. And then, like I said at the bottom there, secondary data is data that's already been done, or it was done by someone else, and now you're using it for your basis of information that you need. And there are entire companies whose sole purpose is to create data, publish it or sell it, and that's how they make money. So here's a survey example, and we'll do a little bit of this. We'll create our own survey, and it'll be pretty simple and basic. We're not actually going to run it. I already have a bunch of data that we're going to play with, and that'll bring us into some of the Excel aspect of what we're going to do in this semester 2. All right, 6 steps to market research. Step 1, define the question. What exactly is it that you need to know? And step 1 is oftentimes the hardest problem for people to get and or understand. Step 2 is to determine the data needed. What data do you actually need to collect in order to answer your question? Now, not as difficult as step 1, but oftentimes this starts getting you in the right path of how we are actually going to do this. Do we need to observe people to actually see what they do? Do we need to actually go through and create a survey? Can we get the information we want through a number of focus groups? So on and so forth. Number 3 is we're going to collect that actual data based on what method that we're going to use, talked about on the last slide, in order to accomplish or answer our question. Step 4, we'll analyze the data, we'll interpret the information, write it down, take notes, so on and so forth. And then step 5, we'll take action and we'll use the data to actually make a decision. And the last step is we'll evaluate the results and say, hey, is this business going to work or is it not? I'll leave this up here for like 20-30 seconds and then we'll move on. Oh, that's the end of part 1. Forgot about that. Yeah, that's it. Awesome, guys. Thanks for listening. I hope you got something out of this, and I will talk to you in class.